I certainly realized that at graduation because, as I said, I graduated in December, and around November, about a month before graduation, I had locked in a job teaching in Shanghai, China. So as I was graduating, I knew that I would be moving to China. So you talk about life changing in real life. Hey, it ain't getting no real, you know, or more life changing than that. So certainly.
All right,
But
so
you know,
you
even so, that would be more of the life changing. For most people, the life changing would be, okay, now I'm on my own. I got to figure things out. But again, it took me 7 years. Those last few years, I was already on my own. You know, I was already working, already going to school part time, paying for apartments and cars and stuff like that. So I kind of was already grown. I was the oldest person in all my classes. You know, graduating when I was 25 years old. So I felt old already. Even being in my fraternity, you know, as we talked about before, you're in the fraternity for life. You know, you're 25-year-old, you're still on campus, you're still in the fraternity. It's interesting hanging out with, you know, 19-year-olds when you're 25 all the time. You're probably not going to be doing the same thing as them all the time. So, you know, things had already changed, but China was the big change.
were there any other options for a job outside of China? Like that, because for me that seems like kind of strange. Like you didn't have nothing in like Maryland, D.C., like, and then China. Like how did China come out?
I had plenty of options. I had
But why
options
China?
working for the
Why did
person
you
that I was
choose
working
China?
for. I chose China for a few reasons. Number one, languages and other cultures are always a big interest in my life. Graduated from high school, I was in independent study Spanish. So I was pretty good at Spanish, you know, took all the classes they had to offer in high school. But when I got to college, as I said, because I was so focused on swimming, I said, hey, they got Spanish 1? They're going to let me take Spanish 1? Oh, I'm going to just take Spanish 1 and get the A real quick. So I took Spanish 1, Spanish 2, fulfilled all my language requirements, and that was that. But as I graduated at 25 years old, I said, well, God, you know, I came into college basically fluent in Spanish. Now I know nothing because I didn't continue it. And so, you know, that was one of those realizations that, hey, I basically squandered some real chances here. You know, I could have had a dual degree, you know, in electronic business and Spanish. How, you know, great would that have been? And that was just going to school but not being there. And even NCAA academic advisors who got my paperwork and everything, they knew I had been studying Spanish in high school. Why didn't they tell me, what are you doing taking Spanish 1? You know, so people don't really care, you know, about your academics. You have to care. You know, your family has to help you. You got to get people to help you.
But were you scared to go to China? Like that's a big move. Like you know people who have interns and they go for like 2 months, 3 months. But you're actually moving there fresh out of college before you even get your degree. You weren't scared?
So I went and she asked me did I want to go in January, a month after not even a month, 2 weeks after I graduated. But no, you know, I wanted to get myself together, you know, sell my stuff, you know, just get life together and not just roll out real quick. So that would have been scary if I just said, hey, I'm graduating here, but 2 weeks from now I'm moving. But no, so I ended up going to China, moving in July of 2006. So I had a little bit to prepare myself to get things in order, just to, you know, be gone and not even know if I was coming back to America. Was I scared? No. You know, I was a little nervous. But one of the reasons that I chose to go there outside of just picking up another language was because nobody I knew had ever been there. I knew people who traveled other places in the world. Most people have just going to the Caribbean, resorts, cruises, and not really having been out of the country at that point, but always having the interest to travel the world. It was just like, all right, man, these cruises and things sound fun, but that's not really seeing those other places. What better way to see a place than to live there? So, hey, nobody I knew lives here. Nobody I know knows Chinese. I'm going to be that one that whenever I come back, somebody want to know something about China, they're going to ask me because I live there. I can speak the language.
Have you been, prior to that moment, have you ever been out of the country?
I say no, but technically yes, because I went to the Bahamas. So if you call the Bahamas going out of the country, then yes. But I discount Bahamas at this point because I went to Bahamas
see how you
for a few days.
Scared, yeah.
But, it's like this. A lot of people say, well, you learn Chinese. That's like the hardest language in the world. How'd you do that? Well, it's not hard if you want to do it. You're not going to be scared of something if you want to do it. So that's
Did
why
you know anyone out there before you went?
Not really. I connected with a few people on MySpace because MySpace was popular. So I connected with a few people on MySpace before I went, but no, I didn't know anybody.
I think that's really big, and I do want to just dumb down a little bit on you making that connection with a few people before you went. So you're on MySpace, so you're going to China. So what did you do on MySpace? Were you searching people from China? How did the search go? How did you decide to figure out let me see if I can connect with a few people here?
How did that come about? I would say, first of all, I would just do random searches. Just like I said, knew nothing, know nobody that had been there. I would just do searches, show me what the streets look like. YouTube, was out then, and it was getting pretty popular, so there's a lot of stuff on YouTube. I would just YouTube people walking down the street in Shanghai. What am I going to be seeing on an everyday basis? What's the highway look like? What do they eat? I don't know what's going on. What was the question again? My bad.
Well, we're gonna really pick up with episode 3 about China, and your experience there. But I guess what we could do now, just to savor the moment for the next episode, is how did your family take this? I know you weren't scared. I know you weren't fearful. You was a little nervous, like you just said. But how did your family take it? How did your loved ones take it? I'm going to China. I'm moving to China.
So my mom loved it. She was like, cool, another place for me to visit, another stamp in my passport. Let's go. Glad you're going. Good for you, son. My sister, kind of the same thing. I got a younger sister. My mom and my sister had actually traveled around the world quite a bit while my sister was younger. But I wasn't able to go because I was swimming. So I missed a lot of opportunities to travel. That's why it was just like, I got this chance to go to China. I'm going. So mom, sister, cool. Dad, when I told my dad, why you want to move to China? Your family's here in Philly. That's something your mom would do. Okay. All right. Okay. That's how you feel. Hope you come visit. Well, this is what I'm doing. So that was that. And then I would also add in April of 2006, I met my then girlfriend, now wife. So we were together from April until July. So, a few months there, and then I leave to go to China for a year. So that, of course she wasn't ecstatic about that. She supported my decision, supported the chance that I was getting, the opportunity I had. So it was, bittersweet when I had to leave her. was still young in the relationship. So that really might have been the hardest relationship-wise, move. But as I said, we're married today, so we can go into that a little deeper if you want to.
Right. Being that you guys are married today, but let's just play the what if game.
Mm-hmm.
What if your mother and your wife today, which was your girlfriend at that point, what if they had the same reaction as your dad? Do you think that you would have went?
Yeah, I was still went.
Oh, you'd have still went. Okay. Even if they both, wife now, girlfriend then, and your mother then, even if they still was on the same page as your dad at that point, you still would have went.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was 25. I gotta make my life. These people already had their lives. Honestly, I broke up with the previous girlfriend because she couldn't accept the fact that I was going to be moving to China. So, I'm sorry that you don't like it. We are in a relationship, but, this is a plan that I have for my life. If anything, you should support this plan if you want to be with me. It's not like I'm going to sell drugs or something. I'm moving to China to teach at a university. Why are you mad at that? So, yeah, I would be gone, but hey, it didn't work out for her.
That's a great. It didn't work out for her. That's funny. Only a Philly guy would say that. That's funny. He said it didn't work out for her.
I really didn't mean it that way. I know that sounded pretty harsh.
No, you mean it that way. That's just the things that Philly people do. And if I didn't say anything, you definitely wouldn't have talked about it.
No, I wasn't going to bring it up, but since we want to keep it out.
That's actually very funny. You said, yeah, messed out. All right, so I mean, I like this, just because at that age, and I know you say you were older than most people in your classes, but at that age, you're still considered fairly young. And when a lot of people are saying, like, yo, you shouldn't do this, or even in some cases, just one person, it could just be one parent, are saying, oh, no, I don't think that's a good idea for you. And you were so focused on what you wanted to do with your life, that you were going to do it regardless. You made your decision, and you still did it. I wanted to just highlight that, just come back again to that, because we have, there comes a point in our life where we have to make our own decisions, and not everybody's going to agree with our decision. And sometimes, especially when we're in school and when we're young, you're trying to make your decision based off of your loved one and what they think. So I just wanted to just re-up on that. Like, there's power in what you did right there. And I want for those young people that are, or even the older people that are listening to this, like, when you set your mind on something and you know why you're doing something, you know what you want to do, it's very important that you respect what other people say, but you don't let that deter what your focus and what your vision is. And I just want to commend you on that, because that's really, really big, especially if you move to China. Some people struggle with that. If they're living in New York and they're trying to move to Philadelphia, or they're in Philly, they're trying to move to Maryland, it's like a big decision. But you're moving to another country, guys. We got to take advantage of these opportunities, man. And I really respect that from you, moving to China, man. That's really freaking crazy.
Yeah, man. Even this was one of you asked about why or what made me really trust my mentor. At that point, when I made a decision to move, I was working for him or with him at that point, because I was a partner in the company at that point. But I'm saying, hey, man, I know I've